Okay, so day before yesterday we started with the second half of the course. So what was that second half? It was encryption, right? So what do we study in encryption? We study how the data is encrypted, right? So before that we saw what are the various services and mechanisms, and before the services and mechanisms what we saw security goals and principles of security, right? So what are the various security goals? They are confidentiality, integrity and availability. Then what we saw various principles of security. So apart from the various security goals, we have authentication, access control as the security principles of security. Then we studied various securities, services and mechanisms which help us attain the security goals and principles of security, right? So therein we had a topic called as cryptography. So what is cryptography? It is nothing but secret writing. So that is the heart of encryption. So we have two types there, symmetric key cryptography and asymmetric key cryptography. So first we will study symmetric key cryptography. So that is the topic of today. So this figure shows the general idea of a symmetric key cipher. So first thing, before that, let's see what is a plain text and a ciphertext. So let's assume Alice wants to send a message to Bob. So the original message from Alice to Bob is called plain text, and the message that is sent through the channel is called ciphertext. Now this is the message usually sent to Bob is through an insecure channel. So it should not be understood by anyone. So that's why it is sent in encrypted form, which is ciphertext, right? Now how to convert this plain text to ciphertext? That is nothing but encryption. So what does it include? It includes an encryption algorithm and a shared secret key. Remember, it is written shared, means while decryption also the same key is used. So that's why it is called a symmetric key cipher. Cipher is nothing but something which is used for encryption. Okay. So to create the ciphertext from the plain text, Alice uses an encryption algorithm and a shared secret key. To create the plain text from ciphertext, Bob uses a decryption algorithm and the same secret key. So what is the nuances here? What are the nuances here? The key is same, but for encrypting a different algorithm is used, and for decrypting the different algorithm is used. So you can see the complications here. So this is just in mathematic form. So what is the important thing here? Locking and unlocking with the same key, as I emphasized before. So you are locking. To lock, you are using an encryption algorithm and a key. To unlock, you are using a decryption algorithm but the same key, right? So that's why symmetric key cipher. Then what is cryptography? Secret writing, or science and art of creating secret codes. So similarly, what is cryptanalysis? It is the science and art of breaking those codes. Means cryptanalysis is nothing but attack on cryptography. So what are the types? Ciphertext only, known plain text, chosen plain text and chosen ciphertext. So what is ciphertext only attack? As the name indicates, it attacks only the ciphertext. So Alice is sending a message to Bob in the form of ciphertext. Obviously this is going through an insecure channel, right? So ciphertext is easily readable by any person. So eavesdrop on that ciphertext, he gets that ciphertext and he launches and he uses various techniques to analyze. So this is also called as brute force attack. So what it does, he applies various keys on that, applies various statistics on that, and tries to arrive at the plain text, right? So this is ciphertext only attack. Next is known plain text attack. So here we assume Alice previously had sent a message to Bob, so that ciphertext was visible, right? And later on Alice made that plain text corresponding to the ciphertext public, because it was not important at that time, because its importance was lost. Okay. But Eve was smart. What he did, he already had the ciphertext. When Alice made the plain text public, he got the plain text and ciphertext pair. So he had got some idea of the key already, right? So what he does, when Alice sends the next message, and assuming Alice uses the same encryption algorithm and key, so what he can do, he can analyze and he can have a high probability of getting the plain text correctly, right? So that whenever Alice sends the message and uses the same algorithms, he can always analyze and get the original message. So this is known plain text attack. So then we have chosen plain text attack. In this case, we assume that Eve has access to Alice's computer itself, right? So what he does, he knows the plain text now because he has access to Alice's computer, right? So what is LS doing? He is sending the ciphertext. So he already has the ciphertext and he has the plain text, right? So again he analyzes that to get the plain text. So this we are assuming it was again beforehand. So similarly, chosen ciphertext attack. So what is the difference? Here he was sitting on Ali's computer, now he is seeing on Bob's computer. So he has the ciphertext with him. So next is substitution cipher. So what are substitution ciphers? A substitution cipher replaces one symbol with another. So substitution ciphers can be categorized as either monoalphabetic ciphers or polyalphabetic ciphers. So in one line, if you want to explain, a substitution cipher just replaces one symbol with another. So this is quite simple to understand. So what are monoalphabetic ciphers? So as the name suggests, in monoalphabetic substitution, the relationship between a symbol in the plain text to a symbol in the ciphertext is always 1 to 1. So let's understand with the proof example. So before explaining this, plain text will assume we keep a norm that it is always in lowercase while ciphertext is in uppercase. Again, plain text in small letters and ciphertext will assume it is always in capitals. So what is happening here? L is encrypted as O. Second L is also encrypted as O. Means there is a 1 to 1 relation here. So it is probably monoalphabetic. Why we are using the word probably? Because we are not sure of the exact technique used for encryption. Okay. So next is monoalphabetic. So next is we have a plain text hello and it is encrypted as A, B, N, Z, F. So if you see here, the first L is N and second L is encrypted as Z. So it is not monoalphabetic, and we are sure this time because it is encrypted in a different form. So this is one to many. So it is an example of polyalphabetic cipher. So let's see the types of monoalphabetic cipher. So the simplest monoalphabetic cipher is the additive cipher. So this cipher is sometimes called a shift cipher and sometimes a Caesar cipher because it was used by Julius Caesar, the famous king. So but the term additive cipher better reveals its mathematical nature. So before seeing how this is done, we need to understand what is this meaning of Z26. So 26 are all the letters from A to Z. So each letter is given a value. So A starts from 0, so obviously Z will end at 25. So additive cipher. So Alice wants to send a message to Bob again and he wants to use encryption. So he has a plain text, so he has an encryption algorithm and he has a key. So how is he using the encryption algorithm? He is adding plain text with the key K, so P plus K, and he is taking mod 26. So what is P plus K mod 26? Means C will be the remainder of this equation. So that is the meaning of mod 26. This returns the remainder. So whatever is the remainder, that is the ciphertext. Okay. So when the cipher is additive, the plain text, ciphertext and key are integers in Z26, means from 0 to 25 always. So we are getting an answer as 27. It is wrong. So let's use the additive cipher with key 15 to encrypt the message hello. So we apply the encryption algorithm to the plain text character by character. So H is what? 7. So why is it 7? So that you will understand now why we use this. So H corresponds to 7, E corresponds to 4, L corresponds to 11. So 7, 4, 11. So H is 7, E is 4, L is 11, L is 11. And if you see again in that slide, O is 14. So let me again check whether recording is happening correctly. Hello. Yeah. So I have the plain text and what is the key? 15. So I have to use additive cipher. So what is the encryption algorithm? I have to add P and K. So P is 7, K is 15. So P plus 15, that is 7 plus 15 mod 26. So 22 mod 26. So what is the remainder? 22 upon 26. 26 zeros are 0. Remainder is 22. So ciphertext is 22. So what does 22 correspond to? 22 corresponds to W, and since we are using ciphertext, it is capital. So 22 corresponds to W. So 4. So 4 plus 15 is 19. So 19 mod 26. Again remainder is 19. So it corresponds to T. Right? So let me take 14 because this is a number greater than 26. So O corresponds to 14. So 14 plus 15 mod 26 is 29 mod 26. So 26 ones are 26, but the number is 29. So 29 minus 26 is 3. So ciphertext is 3. So A is 0, B is 1, C is 2. So D should be 3. So what is our ciphertext for hello? WTAAD. So this type of examples you can expect in the exam. So now we have the additive cipher with key 15. So what we saw in additive cipher, the key is same, right? So that's why the key is given as same to decrypt the message WTAAD, right? So you already know what should the answer be. It should be hello, right? So let's see. So for decryption, what we use C minus K mod 26. So what is C? Sorry, next slide. So ciphertext is W, so W corresponds to 22 if you check in that slide again. So 22 minus 15 is 7, 7 mod 26 is 7, 7 corresponds to H. Similarly you do for the whole thing, you can decrypt this. So next is, again the additive cipher is also called as shift and Caesar cipher. So this is just saying that, so now Eve has intercepted the ciphertext, this one. So show how we can use a brute force attack to break the cipher. So what Eve does is, he uses a brute force attack, means he uses various keys on that. So what he does, Eve tries keys from 1 to 7 with a key of 7, the plain text is not very secure, which makes sense. So if you use a key of 1, what will happen? Key of 1 means what? If you go to this slide, C minus K means C minus 1 mod 26. So U minus 1 means just decrement the alphabet by 1. U minus 1 is T, then V will become U, A will become Z, it is wrapped around, C will become B, right? So if you do till key equal to 7, you will get this. Then you can read this easily, right? Not very secure. So this seems something informative. So this is the decryption. So next we are having various frequency of characters in English. So usually one thinks that A is the most occurring alphabet in English, but that is not the case. E is the most occurring alphabet in English with a frequency of 12.7. So if you want to calculate the probability, divide 12.7 by 26, and the least occurrings are Q, X and Z. Okay, and surprisingly J is also occurring very less as compared to Y. Then this is for one letter only. If you have two letter, it is called as digram. So this is the frequency, these are the most occurring, then diagrams are this. So the is the most occurring 3-letter word. So next we have multiplicative cipher. In additive cipher what we did, we added. So in multiplicative we just multiply, right? But what we do for decryption is we use K inverse. Okay. So this is a note here. In a multiplicative cipher, the plain text and ciphertext are integers in Z26 and the key is an integer in Z26 star. So what is Z26 star, we'll see when we do mathematics of this encryption. So that will come in due course of lectures. So this is multiplicative cipher. Then we have affine cipher. So what is affine cipher? Instead of using one key only, it uses two keys. So what it does, it takes the plain text, uses the key K1, he uses a multiplicative cipher for that. Then it takes T as input again, uses another key T2, uses as an additive cipher, right? So it is a combination of multiplicative and additive cipher. So same case for decryption. So let's see what is, use an affine cipher to encrypt the message hello with the key pair 72. So see affine cipher, so two keys are given. So what we do, so now this can be reduced into one step as P times K1 plus K2 mod 26. So it can be proved that, but derivation is not there, so I will not go there. So what is done, again H is 7, E is 4, L is 11, we saw that already. So 7 into 7 plus 2, P into K1 plus K2. So 7 7s are 49 plus 2 51, 26 2s are 48. So remainder is how much? 49 50. Sorry, 26 2s is 52. So remainder is 49 51. Yeah, 25. If you calculate, you will get the remainder as 25. Okay. So then 28 plus 2 30. So remainder will be 4. Right. So 4 corresponds to E, 25 corresponds to Z. So this is the encrypted message. Similarly, you can decrypt it. So this is what? This is a, if you see this slide, K1 inverse is multiplicative inverse and K1 and minus K1 inverse is multiplicative inverse of K1 and minus K2 is the additive inverse of K2. So how to calculate this, that we'll see in due course of lectures. So that we'll again come back to this, or we'll solve numericals based on that, so you don't worry about that. So monoalphabetic substitution cipher. So what is happening here, because additive, multiplicative and affine ciphers have small key domains, means they have key domains in the range we saw, they are only 0 to 25, right? So they are very vulnerable to brute force attack, right? So means we can do many iterations and get the answer finally. So it's guaranteed the plain text, right? So this is not very secure. So what we do, a better solution is to create a mapping between each plain text character and the corresponding ciphertext character. So Alice and Bob agree on a table showing the mapping for each other, right? So A, they say, corresponds to N, B corresponds to O, C corresponds to A, similarly L to D. So they take it randomly. So Alice knows this and Bob also knows this. So they can encrypt and decrypt independently. So we can use the key in figure 3.12 to encrypt the message. This message is easy to encrypt but hard to find the key, right? Because what is the key? This is key. This is the example key. So T corresponds to what? T corresponds to capital I. Then HIS. H corresponds to C. I corresponds to F. So I, F, U. Sorry, H and I. So CF, sorry. So ICF and so on. So this is the encrypted message. So in next are polyalphabetic cipher. So what is polyalphabetic cipher? Here each occurrence of a character may have a different substitute. So the relationship between a character in the plain text to character in the ciphertext is what? 1 to many. What was it in monoalphabetic? It was 1 to 1, right? So the example, first type of polyalphabetic cipher is auto key cipher. So again it is quite hard to understand in this way. So let's first go here. So assume that Alice and Bob agreed to use an auto key cipher with initial key value K1 equal to 12. So now Alice wants to send the message to Bob reading attack is today, and ciphering is done character by character. So plain text is what? Attack is today. So then what are the P's values? So we again use that. Let's go to that slide. Oh, I missed that. Yeah. So attack is today, right? So A is 0, T is 19. So A is 0, T is 19, T is 19, A is 0. If A is 0, B is 1, C is 2, and so on. So then key stream. So initial key is what? 12. So what is used in auto key cipher is first key is decided randomly. Okay. So they have given it as 12. So we assume it as 12. Then what we do for the further keys is we take from the plain text. So 0 is taken here, 19 here, 19 here. So if you see 8 is here, 18 is here, 19 is here, and so on. Then we have C values. So how we calculate C using this formula? Pi plus Ki mod 26. So Pi plus Ki mod 26. So 12 plus 0 is 12. 12 mod 26 is 12 only. 19 mod 26 is 12. 38 mod 26 will be what? 26 ones are 26. So 38 minus 26 is 12. So similarly you can do this. So then you again go to that previous slide. So what we want, I'll see that first. M 12, 19, 12. So 12 corresponds to M, 12 is M, 19 is T, again 12 is M. So M, T, M. So that's what we have here, M, T, M. So 19 is again this, so T, and so on. So this is the encrypted message. So this you can expect in the exam. So then we have a play fair cipher. So it is a very nice cipher because it uses key in the form of matrix. So we had just numbers. So but here it uses the key in the form of a matrix. Okay. So this is the example of a secret key in the play fair cipher. So this can be any way which we want. Okay. So this they have used a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, this is 5 by 5 matrix. So what they have done, so this is the matrix size is standard 5 by 5, but we can randomly keep the alphabets anywhere. So if you observe, this is kept in a right to left and top to bottom approach. So A, B, C zigzag way, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, and I and J are always kept in one block, because we have 26 alphabets, sorry, we have to fix them in 25 blocks. So I and J, for some reason the PlayFi cipher people have kept it like this. Okay. So now we want to encrypt the plain text hello using the key in figure 3.13, means this key. So again, this key is not always the same, it can be changed. So here we are taking the example of this key, right to left and top to bottom approach. So we have to, first thing which we have to see is if the letters are repeated, the letters should not be repeated. So if they are repeated, we insert one alphabet in between, and we always keep the letters in pairs of 2. So first pair is what? HE. So HE is the plain text, then LL. So but they are same, so we insert a bogus character. It is called as bogus character. So let's say the bogus character is X. So LX, then LO, right? So this was, so since they are in pair of 2, if there was one more character here, let's say T, so T would have been alone. So we added one more character to the right of T, so that will be TX if there is one more character. So let's see how to encrypt this. So this is what HE. So if you see, HE is here, right? So they are in the same row. So this is the procedure. So before encryption, as I said, if the two letters in a pair are the same, a bogus letter is inserted to separate them. And after inserting bogus letters, if the number of characters in the plain text is odd, which was not the case here. So if they are odd, one extra bogus character is added at the end to make the number of characters even. So this step we are done. Then there are 3 rules of encryption depending on the characters. So if the two letters in a pair are located in the same row of the secret key, so H is what? In the same row. So if they are in the same row, the corresponding encrypted character for each letter is the next letter to the right in the same row. So what is it? HE. So for H, what is the next letter to the right? E. So we'll start encryption from here. So EC. So EC is the encryption. So similarly, if we next we have LX. So if you observe, it is LX. So what they are in the row, sorry, same column, right? So you observe the same procedure, but we use the column. So since they were consecutive, we use the consecutive thing here. But here L and X are not consecutive, but they are in the same column. So after L we have Q, and after X we have Z. So QZ, right? Then let's see LO. So L and O, they are in different rows and different columns. So that is the third case. So if the two letters in a pair are not in the same row or column of the secret, what happens? The corresponding encrypted letter for each letter is a letter that is in its own row but in the same column as the other letter, right? So L, it should be in the same row. What is it? Encrypted character for each letter that is in its own row, means you have to take from this row only, but same column as the other character. So O is in this column, so it should be encrypted as B. So same for O. So O, so we should use same this row. So what is column for L? We should check. So it is X. So it is X. So what is the plain text? Hello. Ciphertext is what? Concatenate these 3: EC, QZ, BX, right? And in brackets they have said it is wrapping a row. Means if you come towards the end of the row, go to the first character on the same row, remember. So next is Wigner cipher. So what it does is, let's understand with the example again. So we want to encrypt the message she is listening. So we again write it as the before cipher, she is listening like this. Then P is values corresponding to the alphabets, we'll write the values. So what is the simple one here? E. So A is 0, B is 1, C is 3, A is 0, B is 1, C is 2, D is 3, E is 4, F is 5, G is 6. So this is where we got the P's values. So then key string. So it is given as what? Pascal, right? So Pascal, if you see, P corresponds to 15 in that slide, A corresponds to 0. So this way you write here. So PASCAL. So you are done with the key. So again start with the same key. PASCAL PA. So it is ending here. So that is what is the meaning of K1, K2, KM, K1, K2, KM. So these are the alphabets of the key. So then what we have to do? Just add them. We don't even have to take mod, right? So what we have? 15 plus 7, what we have to do, p plus k, sorry. So what we have to do, 18 plus 15. So we have to take mod, sorry, it is not mentioned here, this is wrong here. So 18 plus 15 is what? 15, 15, 30, 33. So 33 mod 26 is 7. So this is 7, 7 mod 26 is 7. So 22 mod 26 is 22. So I can refer that slide, you will get this encrypted text. So encryption is actually very simple. So then we have Heal cipher. So again that is in the form of matrix. So the key matrix in the Heal cipher needs to have a multiplicative inverse. So we'll see this in the due course of lectures. So I'll not elaborate on this. So we'll come back to this later. So if I forget, you can always remind me. So next is one-time pad. So what is the one-time pad cipher? One of the goals of cryptography is perfect secrecy. A study by Shannon has shown that perfect secrecy can be achieved if each plaintext symbol is encrypted with a key randomly chosen from a key domain. Again, when is perfect secrecy achieved? If each plaintext is encrypted with a key randomly chosen from a key domain. Okay. So this idea is used in a cipher called one-time pad invented by Vernon. Okay. So this is just an introduction. It is not that important, so we will not go into the details. And anyways, we'll come across this in the due course of lectures. So you don't have to worry. So then this is rotor cipher. So this is actually was used in World War by Germany in the reign of Adolf Hitler. So they had various something called as Enigma machine. So these Enigma machines use the rotor cipher. So what it was doing, it has various alphabets here, and depending on this rotation, the key was getting changed. So since the key was getting changed, the ciphertext was getting changed. So this was actually used in World Wars historically. So next are transposition ciphers. So we will do this in the next lecture. And the reason why I have not taken multiplicative inverse is because if I take multiplicative inverse of mathematics etc., because if I take today, this is end of the week. So by next of the week it will create a gap. So that is the reason I didn't start with mathematics. So if you have observed, these are very simple, right? So you just have to remember what is the ciphertext formula. Okay, so you don't have an option but to remember these formulas. So we'll stop here.